Hey everybody, Steve here from The Buried Life, and we're trying to find stuff. Stuff. Where is the stuff? No, 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 no. I got all kinds of stuff and I don't know where the stuff is at. I guess I will have to not use that stuff. Anyway, today, well, maybe that's the stuff. Is that the stuff? That might be the stuff. This? Yep, it's the stuff. Put a little background noise in there, sound effects. Yeah, we've got everything going on today. Today's kind of interesting. We're talking about hobby tech stuff. And since I've retired in Korea, a lot of stuff that I ended up doing was going to the gym, and I realized I needed more hobbies besides getting buff. It's kind of boring after a while. So what I ended up doing is getting into resin printing, 3D resin printing, and then I got into painting miniatures, and that's kind of what we end up seeing over here on our backup lab there. We end up, yeah, that's the paint station. In the other room, we have the resin printing, we've got the wash and cure station, we've got an airbrush booth, and yeah, just learning to be a little bit artsy-fartsy. Well, with that being said, I've posted some videos, and I ended up getting an email from a company called Wainlux, and they said, hey, if we send you this laser engraver, would you review it? Excuse me. And I know nothing about lasers other than sharks with lasers on their heads, and I mean, lasers are cool and everything. I worked on fiber optics when I did electronics tech stuff, which was kind of cool. So with that, it ended up that I said, sure, I don't know anything about them, but I will take a look at it. But I also told them I will be honest about this. And so even though they sent me the laser engraver, which is a small desktop engraver, it's only 5 watts. They had a 3 and a 5 watt version, and they sent me the 5 watt, which was kind of cool. I told them, I said, I'm going to do an honest review, and they said, fine, absolutely, no problem. So with that being said, I ended up getting this here, which is the Wainlux K10. Now, yeah, this is a desktop laser printer, and you've got the laser in there. It's on a gantry. You have, some safety stuff. There's a switch. You have this liftable cover that you can lift up, and you put your materials in there, and then you can just laser away. And the cool thing is it ends up that they have a phone app. They have a PC or Mac software. It's CutLab X. And yeah, you can do stuff off your phone, you can do stuff off your computer, and you can do some pretty cool stuff. Now, granted, it's only 5 watts, and I was like, you know what, I to be honest with you, I wasn't really into, I didn't think this was going to go well, because I'm like, I think of laser engraving, I think of little crafting people, people that do scrapbooks and stuff like that, little keychains. And so I wasn't too excited about it. To be absolutely honest, I was like, okay, whatever. I can make a quick video out of it. The only thing that they asked is that I do 2 videos on this. And so they sent this to me free, which was kind of cool. And yeah, next thing you know, I'm liking laser engraving. Who knew? I mean, I'm not gonna jump into stuff and say, oh, I'm gonna laser engrave everything in the house. Well, maybe some stuff in the house, and I have had some thoughts on it. But when I started using the laser engraver, I was like, really, how often am I going to use this? And that's some of the beauty of the K10, is that it's small, it's desktop. It's easy to use, and if you don't want to pay, like $700, $800, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a laser engraver because you have a few projects that you would like to do, yeah, the K10 ended up being like, oh, okay, this is starting to make sense. And then when I got into it, I started doing some engraving. And so I did some engraving like we see here, if it will focus in. So did some laser engraving. Focus, for the love of God, focus. So there we go. So we did some laser engraving there on some metal, and the buried life, and then the like, share, subscribe. We did that, and that was kind of cool. And then I ended up doing on my other stand, my other base was a little bit more involved. And again, can we get the focus going? There we go. And kind of the Star Wars type stuff, which was really cool. I need to work on my centering skills because obviously that's not in the center. And then I started doing more stuff. So I ended up doing, let's see if this will focus in. Yeah, so we got a Viking axe. We end up having the Viking axe. We end up having the Warhammer 40K guy. We got a little samurai dude. And then on the other side, we got some other stuff. We did a little walker, did little espresso things, and I'm going to end up putting that onto my coffee, which actually I did one of the lids that holds my coffee beans. I did it on the underside of the lid. It's a bamboo lid on there with a rubber gasket, and it actually turned out kind of cool. Matter of fact, I don't have it here because it's on my coffee, but let me see if I can bring this up. Oh, there it is. So, wow, that's big. But yeah, it ended up, there we go. So I can resize it. So I ended up doing this right here, and I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. And once I learned how to get, my centering skills up to par, I was like, yeah, that's going to be really cool, because I really want to design on the top of my espresso, my coffee bean containers. And I've got like 3 of them. So that ended up being really cool. But a number of these prints came out really, really well. Let me go ahead and bring this in here, and that is kind of a cool little print there. Now, some of the lines didn't come out, and what I found interesting is it does make a difference on the graphic that you use, and if it has really light lines or thin lines, then they might not come out well on the print. But for something like that, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at this here. We did the Viking axe, and that turned out kind of cool. So, a lot of these things, it was done on, what is it called, basswood. So the basswood turned out kind of cool. And then they also sent some cardstock along with it, so I was able to do, some other stuff. This will smell a lot because the laser burns the paper, and you're going to have a little bit of ash. And yeah, I think I like the basswood better. So yeah, we ended up doing that. Ended up trying to replicate that. So we had the samurai there, and that is the samurai there. Now it's going to be hard to, it's like focus, please. But of course, it's not as good as a more expensive laser, like $2,000 or $3,000 laser. But we ended up, dialing in and tweaking some stuff, and I found out that, I think this laser stuff is kind of cool. And I was like, what else can I laser engrave? And so I'm thinking, and what was the other thing I ended up doing? Oh yeah, there it is. I ended up doing a little Viking nut on there, on my Gerber, so I was able to put that onto here, and it took like 3-4 minutes, something like that, just a couple of passes, and it was like, oh, that was really cool. So yeah, and I'm going to end up doing the other side. I'm going to do a video, an instructional video of how to use the phone app in conjunction with the K10 and be able to do some of that cool engraving stuff, which was really neat. And then yeah, the more I got into it, the more I was like, before I was like, laser engraving, crafting people, knitting, crocheting, and, laser engraving. I kind of bunched all of that into the same group. And slowly but surely, I'm like, hey, I can engrave, a knife and blades, as long as they're colored. So, that would be interesting. I'm thinking about doing an engraving on the blade. I'm going to do an engraving on this side here to play around with that. But yeah, it was cool. And like, let's take a look at this here. And will that play? Oh, that plays. Source, video, choose file. Oh man, I gotta just do all kinds of stuff just to get, yes, I allow that. Okay, now I think I got this. Choose the video file. Let's take a quick look at something like this. There I am. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, it ended up, I was like, this is kind of cool. It ends up that it worked out kind of well, and being able to, get pictures or do drawings. I'm not that good of a graphic artist by any way, shape, or form, but with the K10, I was able to get graphics off of the interwebs and, be able to engrave some cool stuff. We got some cool stuff. And on a variety of surfaces, there is a number of things that this thing can engrave. So you could do MDF, basswood plywood, birch plywood, pine board, Paulownia wood board, bamboo, which was the top on my coffee bean thing, cardboard box, A4 paper, as long as it's not white, craft paper, leather, black acrylic, scraping paper, which I don't know what scraping paper is. It looks like it's got black on top and then underneath has some colors. Black slate, ceramic, of course you need to have that black in there. We could do glass, coated metal. We ended up doing plated metal like we did with these things here. Rubber, silica gel, which is kind of like your watch band for your iWatch, Apple Watch. Cobblestone, which I'm looking around, I'm trying to find cobblestone and I can't find any. Usually when you're not looking for something, it's all over the place, but when you look for it, then suddenly it's gone. You can do copper, gold. No, it can't do copper, it cannot do gold, cannot do silver, and it can't do pure aluminum or aluminum. It can do stainless steel, PVC, ceramic tile. Of course, that needs to be blackened. But yeah, I was like, this is actually kind of cool. So that is kind of the next thing that I ended up doing. And I even ended up, let me see if I can find, I actually did a video review. Let me see if I can find it. Where? And I think what I could end up doing, source, share screen, I think we can end up doing that. And we'll end up YouTube. And we'll end up going here, view channel. And the video, which is the K10 right here. So I ended up doing an unboxing on this and with the instructions and how to set it up. And I will tell you, it is about the easiest thing to set up. I was really surprised on what you could do with this K10. I was pretty surprised. Where am I? Overlays. I don't know why it keeps doing that. it keeps leaving me off for some reason. And of course I did some updates, and of course now it's not doing the same thing that it used to do. But it's got the engraving size is like 3.14 inches by 3.14 inches, so you're talking, kind of small area. But again, it's a desktop laser printer or laser engraver, and yeah, it was kind of cool to peel off all the new stickers and tape and all that stuff. But when we got into actually engraving more stuff, we did the walker, we did the Viking axe, which is kind of cool. And there is, there's the espresso on the bamboo, and that turned out really good. And then what was some of the other stuff? That was at night, so I did a long print or a long engraving for like over 8 hours to see if it would overheat. Everything, that's the big metal one that I didn't center properly. But no overheating issues. It ended up working pretty cool. And, we did that. We did another espresso thing. Some of the letters didn't come out because they weren't as dark on the graphic as they should have been. So it was really thin lines. And so it really makes a difference on what you end up doing. So it was really cool. I thought I wouldn't like doing laser engraving, but in all honesty, I ended up, it's cool. And now I'm starting to look at bigger units, and we'll see what happens. With that said, it does have a phone app that you can use for Android or iOS, and then it also has the computer software, the CutLab X. Both of them use CutLab X. And from what I understand, it's okay, but it's also compatible with Lightburn, which is a kind of industry standard type of laser engraving software. Of course, that's an added purchase that you would have to have, and it's not from this Wainlux company. But it's just an interesting little 5-watt laser engraver. It ended up as, some cool stuff in there, and you could get it. I do have an Amazon link, but in all honesty, you can find it cheaper in other places. So don't use the Amazon link if you could find it somewhere else, and you'll be better off for that. So it was pretty cool. I liked the laser engraver, and the more I started playing with it, and the more I started printing stuff, I was like, this is actually kind of cool. And I'm going to do another video on how to use the app on the phone to do the laser engraving, and also the software that goes on your PC or your Mac, and I think it's even compatible with Linux. So there's that. But it ended up, I was pleasantly surprised at how I switched from like, okay, whatever, what am I going to use? It was free. It was like, I'll do a video, I'll do a review. I'm probably not going to like it, but does it live up to its claims? It actually does. I mean, now there are other laser engravers that do better jobs, obviously, but they cost a hell of a lot more, and they're not desktop size. So, we're talking, this is maybe as big as my head, maybe less than my head. I don't know. I'm kind of big-headed, but to have something like this that I could set on a shelf, pull it down, hook up with my app or computer, and engrave something, something kind of cool in a matter of minutes or a matter of hours, depends on what you're doing. That's kind of cool. So I was really amazed at how at the onset I was like, okay, whatever. And then the more I got into it, the more I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. So I went from one extreme to another, and now I'm digging laser engravers. With that said, I started looking at some more high-end laser engravers, and they're a little bit expensive, especially the ones as I'm immersing myself into this topic, finding out, you can get the cheap Chinese ones. Of course, I think they're all Chinese ones. All the parts come from, China and other countries, and then they might be assembled in the United States. So made in the USA with Chinese parts. I've seen some advertisements like that. Yeah, but some of the ones that I'm learning, because there's CO2 lasers, there's diode lasers, there's fiber lasers, and X-Tool and Ohm something or whatever. I mean, there's a number of different companies out there, obviously, and these things can get into the thousands of dollars. Like, I was looking at X-Tool and seeing one's got two different types of lasers in the same thing, so you can do different materials, and it's kind of an all-in-one portable thing. Yeah, it ends up like $2,000 or $3,000. I was like, ugh, wow, that's it's more than what I paid for my resin printer, my resin wash and cure station all together. Engraving is not a joke, but with this K10, I thought it was pretty cool to be able to engrave things and not have to break the bank. Now the question is, it comes to mind, is I got the engraver for free. So that's kind of cool. It ended up, I did get it for free. Would I buy it? That's kind of an interesting question, because I ended up before, as I said, I was of the mindset where it's only like for hobby crafters, people who do scrapbooking, you know, and wedding announcements and whatever, you know, artsy-fartsy things. And that I didn't see myself or the things that I could do with a laser engraver. So before I reviewed this, I probably wouldn't buy it because I was in that type of mindset. But then it ends up that after going through this process and doing this and engraving stuff and seeing the possibilities, I totally changed my mind. And so now it's like, would I buy it? I think so. It's like 50-50. It's like 51-49. It is like right on the edge where it's kind of like, you know, because the 5-watt laser ends up being like $200 and some odd, and the 3-watt ends up like $189 on Amazon, and you can find them cheaper on other places. I think there's that coupon place or kind of plug-in app for your web browser, and you can find cheaper prices. There's cheaper prices, so I would definitely go for the cheaper price. Don't use my Amazon link. I wouldn't buy using my Amazon link, but I just put it up there for the hell of it, because that was the one thing the company said, is that, hey, do a video, say whatever you want about it. It's up to you, because you're doing the review as a new person, and we just ask that you put these links in the video. So I ended up doing that. But yeah, it ends up, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, obviously, there's some things in resin printing, because like with the centering, you have an 80 by 80 millimeter area that you can engrave, and these base woods are 100 by 100, so you know you're not talking a large surface area. But how you get this centered, object centered on here, could be a lot better, at least with the program and so on and so forth. So and they have a preview, but the laser actually goes and around the perimeter of the thing that you're going to engrave, in the graphic that you're going to engrave, so you get an idea of where it is on that build area or engraving area, I guess. And so it will kind of like with this, you could have multiple images, and then the laser would go around the perimeter and showing you where this would go. And so as you're looking here, and then you hit preview, and then the laser goes around, and you're like, okay, well, I need to move this a tiny bit this way, hit it again. And so it's just real problematic to try to get stuff centered on this thing. So, you know, maybe there's another way to do this, and obviously my centering skills are off with that. But there were some other things that I saw that were a little problematic with this thing, and like it was user-friendly and intuitive, but only to a certain degree. So like with the phone app, when you open up the phone app, it ends up the CutLab X software pops up, and you have that. And so really there's nothing that kind of shows, you know, it says start your creation, and you hit that and it says device is not connected. I wish it was a little bit more user-friendly, because you have to turn the machine on first, and then on your phone you have to connect up via Wi-Fi, because the K10 laser engraver has this little Wi-Fi signal that hooks up to your phone, and then you're able to connect up to it, and then you need to link up to it. And so that's what you'd end up doing, is hitting the little link button at the top there, but it doesn't tell you how to do that, or it doesn't tell you to do that. And so, you know, there's just some things that needed tweaking with this app, and I'm going to go over that when I do a future video, but that's when I'm going to go over the video and kind of show the steps on how to use the phone app to get to the place of where you can do your first laser engraving using that app, which is pretty cool. Again, I think the app is okay, but they could have made it a little bit more user-friendly. So, you know, it is what it is. But again, it's pretty much aesthetics, so it should be, you know, steps, connect to the like, it should have a button on there that says connect, number one, connect to K10 Wi-Fi. And then once you do that and connect, then another button should pop up and say, you know, do this or that. And you can actually move the laser print head, the laser head, within that build area, I guess you could call it, because it's a gantry system in here. So if you can see, you know, it's got a little bit of a gantry system, you know, with some belts and pulleys and whatever, and little stepper motors in there. It's a 32-bit processor, so it's got a real tiny board, real simplistic stuff. But you can move that around, but if you move, they don't tell you that if you need to adjust the module height to get the precise focus on the laser. They show you how to do that, but they don't, it's not in the order of the app. And it's just kind of like, oh, here's the app, you know, and they just leave it to you to know that you need to set the laser module focusing height for the material that you're using. So something that's thick like this versus thin like this, or thin like a piece of paper, you need to adjust that laser focus height. And if you don't, you won't get a good print. So you think that would be kind of important. Select your material, set your laser focus height, and then you can go in and import the graphic, and then, but they don't. It's all kind of like trial and error. And I was, you know, since I worked in electronics and as in the military, I worked communications and things like that, and later as a electronics technician for the state of Colorado. Kind of have a little bit of experience with user interfaced objects and things, GUI programs and stuff like that. You know, I think it needs some help, but overall, I was pretty, you know, for getting it for free, it's not bad. And so it'll be interesting to take a look at the software side on the computer side of the house and to see how that works. So yeah, it ended up, I thought the K10 and was really cool, and I'm looking into it more. Again, would I buy this with what I know now? Like I said, I'm like 51% I would buy, 49% I wouldn't, and that would change during the day, because how often am I going to engrave things? There's a few things that I would like to engrave, you know, and some other things that I'm like, hey, yeah, I could do with my coffee bean, the containers, you know, the bamboo container tops, and a number of other things that I would like to engrave. Then how many times are you going to really engrave that? You know, you're only going to do so many things, and then you're pretty much done. So either you pay somebody to engrave these things, and they're going to jack up the price because they need to make a profit for their time and so on and so forth, which is totally justifiable. I get that. But really, it comes to a question of, if you buy it, you'll have it from here on out, and you can always use it. So it's just one of those things. You know, it's a couple $100, you know, maybe some people's budget doesn't allow for that. Maybe for others it does. It's just kind of an interesting little thing. So yeah, I'm getting into the laser engraving bug, so it'll be interesting. In my next video, yeah, we'll do some more stuff and talk about, at the end of that video, or maybe I'll do 3 videos. I'll do one, no, I guess I could do another one with the phone app and the computer app, because I could do 2 engravings, one engraving for each of those. And then on the third video, I think, I'm not obligated to do a third video. They just said do a couple of videos. But I think I'll do a third video, and that'll have given me enough time and practice with this machine and going through, learning the program, the app, and the software, and maybe I can learn how to center this stuff in some way, shape, or form. Then I can give a educated summary about some of the pros and cons of this system. So I think that would be kind of cool to do. And I'd like to do more videos and reviews on laser engravers. That would be really kind of cool. So yeah, if you know anybody in a laser engraving company and you need somebody to review those products, I would love to do that. I think that would be pretty cool. So anyway, that's what we got going on. The other thing here in Korea, for those of you who don't know, I'm retired in Korea. We sold everything in the United States, and boom, now we're here. We brought a couple of suitcases. Like I said, we sold everything. Lock, stock, and barrel, guns, ammo, stuff even the kitchen junk drawer. And we just hightailed it and came here to Korea. Well, not immediately. We spent a year on Oahu, and then we came to Korea, and we're enjoying it here. But yeah, a few days ago, the weather was like 90 some odd degrees. It was like 100 and some odd year record was broken for the hottest days and nights, consecutive days and nights. And humid, and I hate hot, humid weather. I don't think anybody in Korea likes the hot, humid summers because they're just so yuck. It's like, don't touch me, but it gets worse, and you feel like, don't even look at me. It's so hot and humid. That's how it gets. But now, a few days later, because last week it was in the 90s, and right now it is 65 degrees, and it's almost 11:30. Almost lunchtime, and the high today is going to be 68. So yeah, we've had a drastic temperature drop, and usually during September we get a lot better. We get cooler weather, we get a nice fall. Seems like this fall is like extremely short, and now they're saying it's going to be a longer winter, and that's going to be really interesting. I don't mind winter. And I think we're going to go to the Philippines in January. We're going to visit, and we're not sure where yet, but it'll be a little bit warmer than here in Korea, so we're going to go do that and check out the Philippines. But weather in Korea, fall, spring, winter is okay. Summer, I definitely don't like summers in Korea. So yeah, maybe I need to try to find some place that's cooler during the summer that we can go to that's cheap and inexpensive. I don't know. We'll see. It is what it is. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I've got my email address, officialthevariedlife@gmail.com, for those who are interested in hobby stuff or painting stuff. Business inquiries, you can catch me on that there. And if you have questions about retiring in Korea yourself. So for me and the wife, my wife is Korean ancestry. She was born and raised in Korea. Then we met, I was stationed over here in Korea, and we've been together. We just had our anniversary. We've been together 34 years, and it's pretty good. She says I'm a keeper, so, glad I made it after all that training. But yeah, being retired here in Korea worked really well. We got our F1 and F4 visas, so if you're in a similar situation with you and a spouse who has some Korean ancestry, send me an email or check out my other videos. I do have videos on my YouTube page that talk about our journey and retiring overseas here in Korea. Searching for apartments, our visa, exchanging our U.S. driver's license for a Korean driver's license, and all that stuff. So. But yeah, it ends up, the NVSK caught the live stream late, but I will catch up from the beginning later on. Hope all is well. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. I will have to check you out. And if you've got it says it's got a, oh, there it is. Oh, that's what that little button does. It says, yeah, so I can put the comments up on here. That's cool. I thought it was going to open up to another page. It just puts the comment on the screen. So yeah, hey, cool. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And yeah, everything is doing well, except for the doctor's strike here in Korea, which is still going on. But that's why we try to stay healthy. So eventually that will go over. But other than that, everything is good. We're healthy. We're fine. Upcoming events that are going to be happening in the near future. Our daughter is supposed to be stationed here in Korea, so she's coming. So we'll get to spend some time with her. She does the Army stuff. We'll do the retired Army stuff. And we're going to the Philippines. And there's another thing. We're going to go to Soraksan here this week. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're going to go up to Soraksan, and it's already really cold up there. But the leaves are supposed to be changing, so hopefully we'll get some video on that and share that. And then there is the Fall Festival on Camp Humphreys on next Saturday. So we're going to check that out and see how that goes. We missed it last year because they closed early, so we'll see what happens. And then we're also thinking about taking a couple days, spend a couple nights in Japan and go to a hot springs and eat some authentic Japanese food and soak in an authentic Japanese hot spring, private hot spring type of setup thing. And I think that'll be kind of cool. So that's the plan. We will see what happens. Because the best laid plans of mice and men, if you've read that book, it's kind of along that route. We'll see what happens. So anyway, that's what we got going on. Very interesting stuff. So I'm going to be plugging along and thinking about things that I can engrave. And I'm working on, the other thing I'm working on is a resin testing video that I am doing for Jamhe in their 10K art and engineering resin. I've got about 3/4 of the way done with that video, and I really like that resin. I bought the resin, printed out some miniatures, doing some testing, and it's a lot better than water washable resin, which is kind of brittle. So if you're into tabletop gaming, you might look into the Jamhe art and engineering resin. And then I also have some other resin I'm going to check out and do some testing on that. But I really need to get a format for how I do these. And I think the format that I used with reviewing the K10 worked really well. And I'm going to see if I can take that same outline that I used for that and use it for the resin testing. Because I'll take video. So for example, on the Jamhe art and engineering resin videos, I ended up with something like 20 plus hours of video footage and try to make a 10-minute video. Yeah, so I need to work on my video capture. Because I can capture some video and I can capture a lot of it, but it's just way too much. So I need to scale down and actually, get a lot better at that. I'm doing better on my, my thumbnails. So yeah, I'm doing better on my thumbnails. So we have like this here. I'm trying to get better at that stuff there. So you can take a look at that. That's kind of a cool little graphic. I think that's kind of eye-catching, and it's a lot better than some of the other crap I used to do. So yeah, I'm getting better at that, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and still hitting the gym 3 or 4 days a week. On top of that, yeah, I'm pretty busy for being retired. So anyway, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you feel inclined, you can click the link down below to buy me a coffee if you feel that way. I would appreciate that. All money goes back into the channel to make more videos. And yeah, it's just some kind of cool stuff. So, excuse me. I need to get some food in my belly because I am hungry. So we will see you on the next video, and if you're thinking about retiring overseas, shoot me a comment, leave me an email, whatever it is, message, say hey, and I'd love to hear if you're going to retire in Korea or even retire somewhere else. Put that in the comment section down below as well. All right, that's going to be it. We will see you. Take care. God bless. Peace. Good stuff. It is. It's really good stuff.